One thing I want to get out of the way now, this video is not primarily for builders, redstoners, those who play multiplayer, or those who primarily play custom maps.
You literally made Incinerator! Oh my fucking god.
This video is solely for Minecraft as a survival game and how the updates impact that particular element of the game. For us to see what has changed about Minecraft updates, we need to head back in time to the alpha and beta stages of the game. Now, for really old school players, Secret Fridays were really something to behold, as not to just unknowingly add features in the game for the player base to discover. Minecarts, dungeons, sneaking, and redstone were all added in these updates. By the time beta 1.3 rolled around, we had beds which would allow you to skip the night, like it or not. Soon after this, we had wolves which you could use with skeleton bones to tame. Prior to this, skeleton bones only really had the purpose of making very overpowered bone meal and white dye. Power rails were added in beta 1.5, which made rail transit significantly more efficient. Towards the end of the beta, we would get the hunger mechanic, which greatly changed how players interacted with food in the game. Again, like it or not. Mineshafts got added to incentivize exploring, and mind you, back then they actually had worthwhile loot. And mushroom biomes had the unique property of spawning no hostile mobs. No. To be honest with you, I don't know why Mojang hasn't once attempted to add another biome like the mushroom one. It's genuinely unique and just feels like a lot of wasted potential. The end was added with release version 1.0, which gave a plethora of uses to past features, along with adding many new ones for us to play around with. Nether fortresses, for instance, gave us new mobs such as the Blaze, and their drops could be used with Ender Pearls to create Eyes of Ender. And with those Eyes of Ender, you could find the Stronghold to get to the endgame and defeat the dragon. Prior to this, Ender Pearls didn't really have much purpose outside of being a very risky teleportation method. Brewing is another mechanic that was added within Minecraft 1.0 that actually gave many uses to pre-existing items. Spider eyes, gunpowder, and hell, even redstone got additional use with brewing, with redstone in particular being notable because it increased the duration of your potions. Similarly, gas had existed in the game way before in the alpha version, but they didn't really serve a purpose other than bugging the fuck out of you. But now, with 1.0, their tears could be used to make regeneration potions. Now, there is so much more I am missing, and you may be asking, what does this all have to do with anything? Why did I just explain all of this to you? Simple. Most of the updates in the Notch era improved upon and added to pre-existing mechanics and features that had already existed in the game. Updates in this era typically did not have any grand scheme to them, and as a result it allowed for Notch and the accruing Mojang team to be far more creative with what they added. On top of this, the updates back then also released far more frequently, as they were far smaller in scale as well. So you could get a bunch of smaller, decent updates in a short span compared to waiting a year for a mediocre big update. I did not even go over other things, such as anvils giving a new means to enchant, which by the way was hella expensive back then.
If it wasn't for dickheads like you, there wouldn't be any thievery in this world, would there?
Beacons gave a new use to a growing excessive iron block collection, and strongholds were changed to now contain the end portal rather than left to collect dust like it probably would in a modern update. There is a lot more we could discuss on this topic, but we have to move on for the sake of time. Heading forward into the post-Notch era, excluding 1.9 because that shit has been done to death as to why it sucks, I think the fundamental difference between updates today is they are additions without much concern for pre-existing features and mechanics. They simply exist on their own, and as a result of that, they are more fluff than any meaningful add-on to the game. Yes, I know there's some exceptions, but we'll get to that. Just watch the video, please. We'll also be ignoring 1.15 as it was primarily a bug fix update.
No, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah!
Whilst many of these updates add cool new concepts to the game, they are nothing more than that. Concepts. The new cave generation, near all of 1.10, copper, and woodland mansions do not fundamentally change how you play the game at all. Copper especially has just taken the place of pre-1.14 emeralds, and woodland mansions are so ostentatiously rare that by the time you find one, the loot they provide is simply not worth the effort. Similarly, the fossils and polar bears added in 1.10 do not do anything for the game. Fossils are again so rare by the time you find them, you will not need them. The ones in the Nether are even worse because despite being more common, you will have sufficient food by then most likely. As for the caves, we will get to those in just a moment. For now, we'll focus on the fact that features tend to get added to this game with absolutely no plans to update them later. It has been over 5 years since the update Aquatic came out, and nothing has come of it whatsoever other than making the oceans look prettier. There are no new mobs since release, no new mechanics, no new interactions, near nothing. This is especially odd, as seeing as we have freezing as a mechanic in the game now and a cold ocean biome, why would there not be a feature now where you could freeze to death in that particular ocean biome? It's just another wasted potential. Similarly, some of the plants in the ocean, like real life, should be able to snag and drag you under the water, and this could add a lot of depth to how you approach and explore the oceans. But as it stands, the only notable feature of the aquatic update is dried kelp blocks look like bricks of cash.
Money, oh money, how I love thee.
Now, many of these concepts, because that's what these actually are, have a lot of great ideas that simply go to waste. Having environmental variations of the base mobs, like strays and drowned, are great ideas, but they fall short for a few reasons. Could you imagine if strays took less damage from conventional attacks because they are freezing cold? What if instead you had to use fire-based attacks to actually kill them quicker, such as flint and steel, the flame arrows, or fire aspect? Or what about drowned? What if they didn't burn in the sunlight because they're wet? And what if they could pull you under the water with every hit they did with you? Things like this would fundamentally change how you interact with these mobs, but instead, all we get is annoying variations of their base counterparts that simply give you potion effects. There is nothing unique about them. On the other hand, the modern cave generation is expansive to be sure, but it doesn't add any substance. There are no new mobs, no new ways to interact with these caves, nothing innovative. But there is one exception. The Deep Dark. It is a phenomenal feature because it fundamentally changes how you traverse caves. The Warden is such a threat to the player, you have to do absolutely everything in your power to not make sound, because this thing can one-shot you even in full diamond. You want to rob the actually valuable loot in the Deep Dark? Tough luck, because opening a chest makes sound which can summon the Warden. What makes navigating the Deep Dark so unique and fun is the fact that it is scary. You have to approach it differently than you would normal caves, or simply put, you will die and lose everything you have. Another example of Mojang doing something right was the Nether update. Gold prior to this update was essentially useless. However, now it could be used with pigmen. I'm not calling them piglins, that's a really stupid name. To barter. On top of this, if you did not wear the gold armor the game already had, they would just attack you immediately, which finally gave it a use as a means of self-defense from the pigmen. But what if you don't want to go face to face with a pigman? Well, make a soul torch or a soul campfire, they'll just scare them right away. You need new ways to scale the Nether to mine that gold way at the top? Well, those twisted vines are a pretty good solution because you can just climb them right up to the top and grab those gold nuggets. And hell, you can even survive in the Nether now because basalt is used to make cobblestone tools and hoglins can be used as a food source. There is just so much in this update that adds new features and expand upon what was pre-established with the Nether. The final exception I want to bring up is the Village and Pillage update. Prior to this, villagers were a notoriously useless mob that people just murdered and ransacked.
Here we go. He drops into the villager mincer. He gets grinded up. All of the items fly out of him.
However, today, players ransack and enslave the villagers instead for their overpowered trades.
You will see your son or daughter through a metal grate for half an hour a week.
But this did have advantages. Old items such as cauldrons and brewing stands got new uses, as they are now used to give villagers their occupations, which you use to get said overpowered trades. There are even slews of items added to Java Edition just for the purpose of helping the trades out. And for my fellow Pocket Edition 2012 veterans, grindstones were even added to the game as a cheaper and better way to get stone blocks. Do you want to smelt and cook your food faster? Of course you do, that shit takes forever. So just make a smoker and blast furnace, not just to get the villager, but to use it for your damn self. He don't mind. So much of what makes this update good is the fact that it changed the game because it improved everything that had already existed, and the new features complemented those changes. So, where are we at now with 1.20 being out? Well, as this video can probably tell you, not too great in my opinion. This update embodies a lot of the issues with modern Minecraft updates. Bamboo planks, cherry wood, pottery, and camels are all nice decorative features, but they are not going to fundamentally change how you play this game at all. In fact, for its one core purpose, bamboo is kind of useless to begin with because people are not going to build scaffolding. You're just going to pile up with dirt blocks like you always have. As for the pottery pots, there's just one problem with the fact you can store items in them. Why in the hell would you not just use a chest? As for camels, they suffer the exact same problem that horses do. They are obnoxiously slow. They are simply not viable for the modern game. For as cool as they are, the armor trims add no subsidy to the game whatsoever other than looking kinda cool. For starters, they are pretty goddamn rare, and you need 7 diamonds to fucking duplicate them. For as expensive as these things are, these trims could have really added some functional use to them. If you get a trim and you use redstone on it, why can't it make you emit a redstone signal? Or how about gold trims? What if they made you immune to the pigment in the nether so you don't have to take off a valuable piece of armor? Or emerald trims. What if they made villagers think you're their version of Mr. Beast, so they just bowed down to you and sucked your dick and gave you discounts? There is so much potential with trims that could have been done. And no, do not confuse this with specific trim designs giving special effects. I'm talking about when you put them on the armor with a certain thing like gold, redstone, emeralds, diamond, shit like that. There is so much that could be done with all of these features, but it falls apart so quickly. Modern Minecraft updates add one-off gimmicks, not playable features.